This is really my one of my first times over here giving class on Zoom. I should say giving class all together. So I really want to speak. We put this day together. It's really a focus on Eretz Israel. We partnered Tanach Study and the SCA together to put this day of learning together. It's in memory of Stanley Chera A, sponsored by the Chera family. It's something that Stanley really.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into Jesse Salem's
Eretz Israel and Medinat Israel, and we want to focus the entire day on this focus of Eretz Israel. So you'll have a lot of classes today on the history, nationality. The focus of today's class that I want to focus on is Halakha, and I'll get to it in a second. But it's really the focus on do Bnei Torah, do Bnei Yeshiva, the children, the students that are learning in yeshivot, should they be serving in the army, or should they be serving in the quote-unquote God's army of learning Torah and focusing on studying this Torah, and that's what will protect Am Yisrael. So it's a famous debate that goes on, and it's become very political. I want to focus on the halakha that builds up to this subject. I'm not a rabbi, so I'm not going to be posek the halakha for you, but I will give you a presentation of how I see certain things, and you could, take it further. You could discuss with your rabbis and how you want to address all this. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Nope. That didn't work. Let's go all the way to the beginning. Okay. So here we go. Milchemet mitzvah. I categorize this Milchemet mitzvah. We'll see why in a second. But the focus is the IDF. Tzahal, should a person serve in the army, serve in Tzva Haganah Yisrael, or should he learn Torah? And I want to focus on the halakha perspective. There's a few perspectives that I could take this, and really, I would say I was thinking about it myself. On some of you know, I joined the IDF back in 2007, and there were a few things that led up to my decision to join the army. I would say first and foremost, it was my upbringing in my house, growing up, of my parents and all the values that they brought me up with. And a lot of those values are really found in Tanach. If you really read through Tanach, you'll see, Pisukim of prophecy. I have a Tanach scholar over here, Rabbi Yoni Grossman. So it's the quote Pisukim over here in his presence. But we look through even Zechariah, right? Zechariah, Ko amar Adonai Tzevaot, od yeshevu zekenim uzkenot birchovot Yerushalayim, v'ish mish'anto biyado merov yamim. Right, one day the elders will return and sit back in Yerushalayim, and the streets will be filled with children playing in its marketplaces. Right, or Yirmiyahu, there'll be another day once again where you will plant vineyards in Haresh Shomron. Kahal Gadol Yashuvu Hena, a great congregation will return back to Eretz Israel. V'yesh tikva la'aritech Adonai, v'shavu banim ligvulam. Right, the children will return once again to their borders. We read of this prophecy. We long for these days. When you read the Tanakh, it's so glaring that this is really what we're envisioning, and this is what we're looking forward to in the end of the days. Pisukim from Amos, right? V'shavti shivut ami Yisrael ubanim arim neshamot v'yashavu v'nateu charamim v'shatu et yanam. Right, you're going to rebuild the destroyed cities. There are so many Pisukim that speak about the Nivu'ah, the return to Eretz Israel. And that is really something that definitely shaped who I was, and really helped me and really guided me towards the decision of joining the army, to really live and partake in the prophetic vision of the end of days. Additionally, if you look back on history, just focusing on who we were and what we went through in history as a nation. And, even if we look back to our most recent history, Yeshiva Flatbush gave us the opportunity to go on a trip to Poland They took us in 12th grade on heritage, right? Which is some sort of March of the Living. We walked through concentration camps, and one after the next. My Tanach, you saw it intact. We walked through Auschwitz. You walk through those doors, work, and be free. And you look at the Pesukim of Yehezkel, and of course there's so many ways of interpreting this Pesukim, but just looking at the dry bones of what they went through, and the fact that these very bones were able to pick themselves up and fight back and reestablish a state of our own. Of course, it reflects back on the prophecy, but also the most recent history. A lot of times you look at the negative impact that the Jews went through, and it has an impact on you. And I remember walking through Auschwitz with that Israeli flag carrying above our shoulders as we walked through. And from there, we went on a plane and went straight to Israel. And as I was walking through, I said, this is something that I want to give back. There has to be a way where a Jew could fight for his own life. And we have that opportunity today, but I want to present it not just as an opportunity, but potentially as an obligation. And that leads me to the next slide, and that is the Halakha. Today's focus of the shiur is not going to be so much on the prophecy, it's not going to be so much on the history, but it's going to be a focus on Halakha. Halakha from the Tanach, from the Pesukim, the Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, rising up through the Talmud, through Harambam, who is our foremost posek when it comes to these issues. And that's where I want to take this journey today. Shouldn't a person serve in the IDF? So I'm going to start first with a halakha from Harambam. It's in Hilchot Shechenim. It's actually based off of the Talmud in Baba Batra. And Harambam says, Kol hadevarim shetzrichin l'shmirat ha'ir, lokim mikol anshe ha'ir. Anything that you need to protect the city, you take from everyone in the city, except if afilu min hayitumim, even from orphans, except for Talmidei Hachamim. You don't collect money from Talmidei Hachamim. And why? She'en Talmidei Hachamim tzrichin shemira she'atorah shomartan. Talmidei Hachamim don't need protection. Why? Because it's the Torah that protects them. Okay? Now, this can be quoted, and this can be understood, that if it's the Torah that protects Hachamim, they shouldn't need to serve and protect themselves. This is quoted as a source of why certain, why rabbis or students studying in yeshiva shouldn't have to serve in the IDF. It's the Torah that protects them. If they're a Talmid Hacham, the Torah should protect them. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. I mean, this is part of the debate. But as Rabbi Rabinovich pointed out, he has a book which I'll show. You could all see it. Also, it's a beautiful book. It's called Melumedei Milchama. He's the Rosh Yeshiva at Yeshivat Ma'aleh Adumim. Well, he was past the Rosh Yeshiva now. He's now in his 90s. Rav Chaim Sabat and Rav Shelat and Al-Koyer Rosh Yeshiva over there. But he put out this book, and he points out based on what the Rav Magid says, based on the Nimigas, that this is obviously not talking about when protect the city from Sakanat Nefashot. This is talking about to protect the, you don't collect them, to put up a guardhouse to protect from robbers coming in. But obviously, when Harambam is codifying this law, he's not talking about when someone is coming to stab a person. When someone's coming to stab a person, we have another law, and that's Pikuach Nefesh. And everyone would agree that Pikuach Nefesh is Duhai everything. It's Duhai Shabbat, it's Duhai really everything other than the three cardinal sins. So obviously, this law that's being quoted by Harambam Hilchot Shechenim is not referring to when someone comes to kill another person, but rather collecting money in order to put up a guardhouse. Additionally, there's another quote of Harambam in Hilchot Talmud Torah, which is very important. And he says, there's nothing comparable to Talmud Torah. It's the most important mitzvah. Why? Right? Learning brings you to action. Now, it's interesting because it brings you to action. So you think the action is the most important part. But no, it's the learning that allows you to understand when to act and how to act. And therefore, if a person had in front of him mitzvah v'talmud Torah, he has a mitzvah to perform in Talmud Torah, im efshar la mitzvah le'asot ayedei acherim. It's if it's a mitzvah that can be performed by others, lo yafsik talmudo. He shouldn't stop learning. Continue learning. Let the mitzvah be done by someone else. V'im lav ya'aseh mitzvah v'yachzor leTorato. And if not, if it can't be performed from others, by someone else, you're on the street corner, there's no one else to help this old lady cross the street, you should stop, put your book down, help her, and then go back to learning. That's the law. That's the halakha. Now, what if someone is learning Torah, and there are other people that can serve in the IDF? Should these students continue learning Torah and let someone else do the job of fighting for the country? That's an important question, and that's something that we'll have to answer over this show. I want to start with the Pesukim. These Pesukim have a lot of meaning. These are Pesukim from Sefer Devarim, from Perek Kaf, and Torah mentions different cases. Over here we speak about if you're going to war against your enemy, and you see horses, chariots that are greater than you, lo tira mehem ki Adonai Elohecha imach. Don't fear them. You have a mitzvah not to fear the enemy. It's interesting. We'll see how Harambam actually codifies this law. When you come to the war, the Kohen speaks to the nation. Part of going to war, the Kohen addresses the nation and says, Shemais, listen, Israel, you're coming to war against the enemy. Al yirach levavchem. What am I doing here? What's going on? Al yirach levavchem. Don't fear. Al tireu ve'al tahpezu ve'al ta'arsu mipenehem ki Adonai Elohechem ha'olech imachem lidachem lachem oivechem v'oshiatchem. God is going to fight your war. Know this. And then the shoterim speak and they give certain conditions of who should step back from the war. Harambam codifies this as law. Actually, before we get to that, Masechet Sotah, the Mishnah, at the end of the Perek Hayat, at the end of the 8th Perek, says, Mashuach milchama b'sh'ah shemedaber la'am, right? When the Mashuach milchama, he's speaking to the nation, he speaks in Lashon HaKodesh. He mentions this in Hebrew. Now, I want to tell you that when I went to Ma'aleh Adumim, part of my decision to go in Ma'aleh Adumim was because I understood that there were a yeshiva that served, it takes 5 years of their life, they have a Hesder track, the boys over there, they decide to take 1.5 years of their life dedicated to the army, 3.5 years to studying Torah. They take 5 years post high school to focus on Torah and serving in the IDF. And it's something that I valued, and that's really why one of the reasons I went to that yeshiva. And I remember them sharing, I got there, it was after the Second Lebanon War, and I saw a video of them going out to war. And they're on the bus, it's pitch black, they're all going out, you hear them talking and the fear in their voices, and one of the boys of the yeshiva gets up, and he actually walks through this halakha that Rambam actually quotes, based on this Mishnah. And he starts reading, he reads these Pesukim that the Mishnah says, and he says, when you're coming to the war, v'nigasha kohen, v'diber la'am, and he starts reading the Pesukim, Shema Yisrael, we're going to war, do not fear. God is with us. It's powerful words. And that's what the Mishnah is saying. This is what you have to do. And continuing, the Shotrim speak, and now they give an out. They say, Mi ha'isha shebana bayit hadash, who built a home? Yelech ve'yashov lebeto. Go home. You built a house in the past year? Go back home to your home. Did anyone plant a vineyard? You did? Go back home. Did anyone recently get engaged? You got engaged recently within the past year? Go back home. Don't participate in this war. And lastly, someone who is scared. And everyone hears these. They go back home. They don't actually go back home, but they partake in the back end of the war. They bring food to the soldiers. And the next Mishnah Vav says what? Bameh devarim amurim. What are we speaking about when all these people go home? B'milchemet hareshut. A voluntary war. Aval b'milchemet mitzvah hakol yotze. Milchemet mitzvah, everybody goes out. Afilu hatan mehedro v'chala mehupata. Even hatan and kala from their wedding hall. A milchemet mitzvah, they walk out of their wedding and they go fight in battle. And Rabbi Yehuda comes and says, right? Everybody must go out. The Talmud focuses on what the difference is between the two. Rava speaks about it. You can look into it further in Masechet Sotah. Harambam says, what is this milchemet mitzvah that we're talking about? Right? Now that we have the law, milchemet mitzvah, everybody must go out to. There's no exemptions. I don't care if you built a house. I don't care if you planted a vineyard. I don't care if you recently got engaged. Everybody must go fight. That's the law. Harambam says, En hamelech nilham techila ela al milchemet mitzvah. What's a milchemet mitzvah? So he says three things. Milchemet shiv'at amamim, fighting against the 7 nations. Milchemet Amalek, battle against Amalek. Ve'ezrat Yisrael misar sheba alehem, fighting an enemy that attacked the Jewish people. Now this applies anywhere. This could apply in Syria, it could apply in Russia, it could apply in Poland, it could apply in America. Any oyev, any enemy that attacks the Jews, it's a milchemet mitzvah to fight back. That means that no one is exempt from fighting in this war. Now, we did say, who needs to go out? Everyone, even a bride and groom from their wedding hall. Now I have a question. Okay, I understand, the bride and groom must go out. What about Talmidei Chachamim? Who said that rabbis or Bnei Yeshiva need to go out and fight in this milchemet mitzvah? I understand everyone needs to go out, even a bride and groom. Who said Talmidei Chachamim have to go out? So there's a Gemara Masechet Sotah, which quotes a pasuk based off a story in Melachim Aleph, where the king Asa, Melech Asa, gathered everyone together to go, fight, and go ready to go plunge, the enemy. And Hamelech Asa Shmiat Kol Yehuda en Naki. He gathered everyone from Yehuda. There was no one left. En Naki. What do you mean there was no one left? So the Gemara says, why was Asa later punished? Why? Because he mocked the Talmidei Chachamim. How did he do so? He gathered everyone. My enaki. What's enaki? Amarav afilu hatan mehedro bechala mechupata. He gathered everyone, even a hatan and kala. Now, what was going on over here? Just to put a background to this story. This story is speaking about when Asa was fighting the king of Israel. It was a civil war between Yehuda and Israel at the time. Israel started to block off the path. Yehuda decided to fight back. They couldn't fight back. They didn't have enough strength. They called the king of Aram to get involved. And the king of Aram, of Assyria, came and fought off Israel. And then Yehuda went in, Melech Asa went in and took everyone. Now, the king Asa go in with to really take all the booty. He went in with everyone. Even Hatan Mehedro v'Chala Mechukata. And over here we're saying, En Naki, even Talmidei Chachamim. Now, it's interesting over here. What do we see? The Aruch, Sefer Aruch, he writes, very, very early Perush, V'kol sheken Talmidei Chachamim. Even Talmidei, when the Talmud said that the king Asa brought everyone in Naki, and they said, even a Hatan Mehedro v'Chala Mechupata, even the bride and the groom, that comes to include, of course, it comes to include Talmidei Chachamim. What do we see from here? We see here something very interesting. We see from here, according to the Aruch, explicitly, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but Aruch says it explicitly, that when the Mishnah said that everyone is obligated to fight in a milchemet mitzvah, and they said even a bride and groom from their wedding hall, it's obviously coming to include Talmidei Chachamim as well. Okay, so we see from here that Talmidei Chachamim are also obligated to fight in war. Masechet Megillah, we have a quote from Yoshua. Yoshua is in the outskirts of Yericho. Vayisa enav vayar v'hine ish omed lenegdo. He sees someone standing in front of him. Vayishtachu le'apav. He bows down. Now the Gemara says, how could he do so? How could he bow down? You can't say hi to your friend at night because you worry he may be a shed, right? Because you worry maybe someone that's coming to attack you. So don't, keep your distance. He said, I am the, Sar Tzva Hashem. Maybe he's lying. We know that someone doesn't say Shem Shamayim Nebatala. Amar lo. Now, what did the Sar Tzva Hashem tell Yoshua? Emesh bitaltem talmid ben arbaim, v'achshav bitaltem talmud Torah. Yesterday you missed the Korban Tamid. Now you're missing out on Talmud Torah. What are you doing? Now, what do you mean? Yoshua is going to battle. He's going to war. Sar Tzva Hashem is coming and telling him, "What are you doing, mevatil Torah?" Amar lo al ezem hembat. What are you coming for? What are you coming to rebuke me on? The Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim or the Talmud Torah? Amar lo ata bati, on the latter one. Miyad vayalen Yoshua balayla hu betoch ha'emek. Amar Rabbi Yochanan melamed shelan be'omka shel halakha. Right away, Yoshua lay down that night in the emek, in the valley, and the Rabbi Yochanan says we see he lied down in the valley of the halakha. What do we see from here? We see from here, Yoshua obviously went on to go battle. Right? The very next day, he fought the battle, right? It was a milchamet mitzvah. He was fighting Shivat Amamim. What was he being rebuked for? He was being rebuked for not learning during his free time. So we see something interesting. Even those that are going to battle are not patur from Talmud Torah. It's still up to every person to upkeep themselves, to become a Talmid Chacham, first and foremost, to study Torah. And when they have free time, it's important to study Torah, to study Halakha. Masechet Sotah, we did this one already, I'm going the wrong way. This was interesting also, and this is very practical. Harambam in Hilchot Melachim u'Milchamot, in Perek Yud Aleph, he says, Al ya'aleh al da'atcha שהמלך המשיח צריך לעשות אותות ומופתים. Don't think that the Mashiach needs to actually perform miracles and מחדש דברים בעולם או מחיה מתים וכיוצא בדברים אלו שהטיפשים אומרים. He doesn't have to do all these things that these fools say. Yes, he has to revive the dead. That's not the Mashiach's job. That's not true. Why? How do we know this? Rabbi Akiva, Hacham Gadol me'Chachamei Mishnaya. Rabbi Akiva was one of the greatest Hachamim in the Mishnah. V'hu haya noseh kelav shel ben Kuzba HaMelech. Rabbi Akiva was the arms bearer for Bar Kokhba. In the Bar Kokhba revolt, Rabbi Akiva was on the front lines. Rabbi Akiva himself saw Milchamet Mitzvah. He put his Torah aside and he went to fight in the war. Here's a practical, historical example of one of our greatest Talmidei Hachamim that realized in a time of war, I put down my Torah and I go out and fight in the battle. Harambam brings his point that he thought that he was the Melech HaMashiach. So we see from here that even though Bar Kokhba didn't do, all the miracles, he thought he was the Mashiach. So you can think that he was the Mashiach. Once he died, though, we obviously know he's not the Mashiach, as Harambam continues. But side point, we see from here that Rabbi Akiva went to go fight in battle. Sefer Shemot. And I think this is interesting. Vayomer Moshe Yoshua beharlanu anashim v'tzeh hilachim ba'amalek. Moshe tells Yoshua, go choose for us, select for us individuals, anashim, and go fight Amalek. Amalek, again, was one of the milchamet mitzvah. Over here, they didn't need everyone, so he says, go choose your people that you need. Rashi, beharlanu anashim giborim v'yerei chet, shetehe zechutan mesayatan. According to Rashi, who did Moshe want Yoshua to choose? The people who are giborim, the people who are strong, who are warriors, ve'yerechet, and people that feared sin. Why? Because we want their zechuyot to protect us. We want the Talmidei Hachamim. We want the people who represent our Torah values to be on the front lines. Those are the people that we want outside fighting our wars. I mentioned earlier the Harambam in Hilchot Talmud Torah spoke of if you could have an option of something being done by one person, mitzvah being done by one person, and everyone else could wait aside, who should perform the mitzvah? If you have, so you can learn Torah and someone else could perform it for you, then we should do so. I think a big question is the reality around us today. Do we need everyone to enlist in the army? Is that important? Or is it enough to have a few thousand people, wherever we could get? Or does the army need everybody? I think if you look at this map and all the countries surrounding Israel, all the Arab countries, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Yemen, Egypt, Sudan, Libya, Tunisia. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And Israel is this tiny state protecting itself, and they're doing a fabulous job with God's help. I think you could see from here that we really need everyone. And that's really what I wanted to just show by a couple of these graphs that I pulled. It's, before we go there. Firstly over here, this is just a quota of figures of how many people live in each country. Egypt, 97 million, Iran, 81 million, Turkey, 82 million. You look at Israel, there's, about 9 million, and this is including the, quote unquote, occupied territories. And it's including also the Palestinians and others that are living amongst us. The 9 million figure is approximately 67 million Jews. Additionally, if you look at the military strength, the global firepower index score for Israel was actually pretty low, ranking it a few years ago 3. Now it seems like it's 5 on the on the list within the Middle East. But if you look at the actual the military personnel, who is active military, Egypt 438,000 people. Jordan 110,000 people. These are our neighbors. Syria 142,000 people. Israel needs to prepare for battle. Preparation includes an air force, an infantry, a tank unit, even the Mossad, intelligence. Everyone is needed to really help out and serve and partake in war. Battles today are not what they once used to be. Battles today, it's not that anyone could just pick up a gun and go out to the field. There's training involved, and I would think that it's really incumbent on everyone, if there is war, to at least be able and be prepared to go to war. And I think this is something that the Hesder Yeshivot have a strong focus on, and they're actually critiqued from both ends. Meaning what? The Hesder Yeshiva, they don't go 3 years, and a lot of people critique them for only going 1.5 years and serving in the army. Why are you going 3 years? And do you serve like everyone else? Or the other yeshivot that are studying Torah full day, they don't go at all. If you're going to learn Torah, learn full time. What's this compromise that you seem to make no one happy? I actually think it's an ideal. I think it's an ideal because it prepares a person to go to battle. Right now, if you go to 1.5 years in training, you have your training, you know what you need to do if, God forbid, there's ever a milchemet mitzvah. You know what you fulfilled your obligation to prepare to fight for war. You can now go out and fight like any other Jew, like anyone should fight as their obligation and their privilege in a milchemet mitzvah. And they don't do the full 3 years because Talmud Torah is an important value, and they're able to go back to the yeshivot and study, as Harambam and as other halachot point us to. That brings me to the end. I'll just share with you that, I personally also decided to go on this little endeavor to go join the IDF. I see my grandfather's here. He wasn't too happy with my decision when it happened, but I think looking back, I think he came to terms with it. Anyone that asks me, I mean, if any parents, may get even upset at, sometimes I'm vocal about the importance. I don't think it's, just for Israeli Jews. I think it's important for all Jews to find a way to support Eretz Israel. We live over here in the Galut. We live over here outside of Israel. We need to find ways to support Israel, to support the IDF, to fight in the Milchamet Mitzvah. If one can do so by himself, with his own physical body, it's a mitzvah to do so. It's a mitzvah to be prepared to do so. If one can't do it right now, it's important to support, the IDF and recognize that we're an outpost of Jews living in Galut, outside Eretz Israel, but we're really an outpost of a much bigger nation. We need to really search and understand the value of being part of a much larger nation. And for me, this decision to go to the IDF was an important one, and it was based on my upbringing, understanding the certain nivuot, seeing our most recent history, but it was also rooted in halakha, understanding halakha and understanding the importance of what the halakha and what the hachamim speak to us and its value of serving the IDF. And I really see it personally. I see it as a privilege, and also as an obligation. And I like to say that, there are certain things that, in my life that I saw that, you look at it and, there are certain things that are always worth living for, and then there are other things that are worth dying for. And for me, serving in the IDF really encompassed both. So I wish everyone a Hag Haasmaut Sameach. Use this day to, really learn more about Eretz Israel, appreciate Eretz Israel, the values of Israel, our nation, the Torah of Eretz Israel, and learn a lot and come into Yom Haasmaut on Wednesday with appreciation for the day itself and in celebration.